Hello there. This is not a new topic, but it is worth revisiting another case of a parent-teacher meeting that explodes over the parents being very upset with the very graphic books, adult books in my opinion, that are available to children and were even given in this case to a 5th grader. I mean, an 11-year-old returning home with a book about the Pride Parade that shows nude people and people in a very pink-themed clothes. Yeah, in my opinion, that should never happen. So, a school board meeting descended into chaos during an argument over an LGHDTV book that was made available to children in kindergarten. The book, titled The Rainbow Parade, illustrates a young child and her two moms attending a pride parade together, where they see men in pink gear holding hands and a near naked person walking the streets alone. Outraged parents from Penfield Central School in New York attended a board meeting on Tuesday in an effort to voice their concerns, but were shut down by officials who refused to listen. If you think that that's appropriate for children to see, then there's something wrong with you, parent John Feathers fumed. You need to have a mental evaluation. There's no reason that should be in the schools whatsoever at all. He noted that one page of the book shows a butt is clearly out. And then if you go over on this side of the picture, there's two guys standing in bondage gear right there. Superintendent Tasha Potter was confronted by boos and shouting from parents gathered in the crowd as she conducted the meeting. You can see the pictures here. There's the two men, and that's the naked person going alone. And these are from the book. Thank you. So, we have the policy in place, the procedures in place to object to learning materials. That's what the superintendent said to the parents. Basically, you're not objecting in the proper way through the proper procedure that we've laid out. Therefore, we will simply ignore everything you say. I wonder what the procedure is, how difficult is it to navigate, how easy it is to stonewall the parents, because we have seen across the country parents being stonewalled for objecting to the very same thing. And in fact, under the Biden administration, as well as the Obama one, I believe, you had parents being investigated by the FBI and potentially being jailed for objecting to LGHDTV adult stuff in the classroom and in the school library. Basically called domestic terrorists, for example, for not wanting their kids to be indoctrinated with adult books of the gay variety. So, parents began shouting their concerns from the crowd as she said, "That is not how you object. We will ask people who cannot do that to be removed. We are here at our board meeting. We are conducting our business." What do you mean our? Isn't the board serving the parents? Aren't the parents basically in charge of you? You're doing this at their behest. It's their kids. The school basically is funded by their tax money. Who are you? You're just a hired person to manage things for them. What do you mean you are going to remove the people that are basically your boss because you don't like what they have to say? This is insane. So, the comment I just read sparked outrage from the crowd, who booed Porter and the rest of the board as they got to their feet and walked out of the room. It's our board meeting, one parent shouted over the chorus of boos. The board were called chickens and cowered as they left. The school board is just leaving, they're just leaving, one outraged parent said. How do you just leave a school board meeting with a packed room? Another parent said the book was sent home with her 5th grade student, but it was also available in the library where students in kindergarten have access to it. But other parents said there was nothing offensive about the book. Parent Maggie Rex told NBC she found it completely inoffensive. There are many parents in the district who really believe that this safe and welcoming environment for our kids is an incredibly important aspect of the educational freedom. So safe and welcoming means you gotta show adult and kink stuff to kindergarten students. That's what should be interpreted from that comment. I believe this is a very fair interpretation too. In my opinion, we should absolutely shut down any and all LGHD TV or really any adult stuff in schools and kindergartens. this is best left for the parents, and it's best left when you're talking with a teenager. Before they're a teenager, there should be absolutely nothing adult at all that is discussed with them by anyone. That's my personal opinion. The parent might, when with a 10 or 11-year-old, prepare them a bit, but for teachers to do it, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Honestly, the government was never meant to teach morality. It was always left to the students, because morality is not the same across the entire population. Meaning, if you ask what is good and true to a far left advocate, let's say from California or New York, and then you go to a red rural county and ask them what's good and true and moral, you'll find conflicting answers from the two of them. How do we square the circle? Simple. Each one will teach their own kids what they believe is true. And when the kids are adults, they'll make up their own minds. But what we won't be doing, if we don't want to create a huge conflict, is having the federal government enforce the morality of whoever is currently in charge. And what we have had for the past couple of decades now is that whoever was in charge, it was leftist morality anyway, because the entrenched bureaucracy made it so. And I am sick and tired of it, honestly. You can see even in my home country of Israel, which, people that are more conspiracy-minded plus don't like Jews, claim that this entire movement is stemming from Jewish manipulation of Western societies. And that's an interesting claim to make when we have the same thing propping up in our country as well. It was accepted a few months ago, maybe a year by now, maybe a bit more, to allow all the HDTV organizations into schools to talk to students right here in Israel. So it's just a bit slower here. We are a couple of years behind you on the same trajectory exactly. And we're not the only ones. If you go, there's a lot of places, countries that are outside of Europe and the US that are on the exact same trajectory, just a couple of years behind. Sometimes 5, sometimes 10, sometimes even less. Basically, that's what I'm seeing, at least. And honestly, I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of having over and over again this debate. Is it okay to show children adult materials and indoctrinate them into the LGHDTV stuff? The answer is no. I sometimes watch people like Paul Joseph Watson or the Lotus Eaters talking about what happens in Britain, and I bring them up because Britain is an extreme example of what's waiting for us. And what they have is, for example, pop culture and dramas where, what was it? Yes, you had a dementia patient grandmother, and she didn't accept the gender transition of her grandson into a granddaughter. And basically, the grandma eventually dies, and the tragedy is not that she dies, that she lost a family member. The tragedy is that she's a transphobe, that she doesn't accept the transgender grandson. And even when she's gone, after she basically somehow accepted, like somewhat accepted the transition, the grandson is still going on about how he's very worried that his grandmother just pretended and that she never saw him as a girl at all. So basically, there's no mourning the loss of a grandparent, of a family member. There's just questioning the morality of the dementia patient grandmother. That's for not accepting your gender transition. And that's the hero of the story. She is presented as the moral character, the hero. Meanwhile, the grandmother is the villain. This is insane. This is the culture that we are creating now in the West. This is where it's all going. It's insufferable. And you're making me hate you. Not rationally. I know perfectly well, rationally, that a random person who happens to be gay on the street has nothing to do with this necessarily. Doesn't support this necessarily. They could or they could not. They could be good people or they could be bad. They're basically like everybody else. But the emotion that you feel after being hit in the face with this over and over and over is just you have pattern recognition as a human being, and the emotion is going to be negative. You're going to be predisposed negatively towards anyone associated with this indoctrination that is being forced everywhere on us. And it's the same in books, it's the same in movies, it's the same in comics, it's the same in games, it's the same everywhere. I've just recently seen a sort of Zoom call meeting of game developers on a big AAA title, where basically over half the people there had the trans flag in the background. What are you doing? Why are they overrepresented in any position of authority or power in pretty much everything? Why are they in the schools, in drag queen story hour, in kindergartens? How come they've become basically the cornerstone of society suddenly? It was supposed to be something personal that we should just leave alone. You know, back then it was get the government out of my bedroom, and I supported it. I thought it was great. I thought, okay, just let people have their fun in whatever way they want, so long as it's nothing harmful to consensual adults, and leave the government out of it. Don't legislate people's private lives that way. I thought, great, I supported it. Now I regret that. Now I've changed my mind. I've seen where it all leads, and it's horrible. I do not want to live in the society that was created. Basically, the far right today is people who go, you know, we made a mistake. We took a wrong turn. Let's go back to like 20, 25 years ago, where the left wing was 25 years ago, when the left was 20 years ago. That's where I want to be. And that's the far right of today. We've watered down the word right wing, far right, so much that basically if you go back 20 years and pick a random lefty, that's your far right today. Well, I support the idea of not having adult gay stuff in schools. Call me far right, call me a evangelist, a lunatic, I don't care what you call me, conspiracy theorist. I'm done being polite about this. The people who do this are wrong, they're sick, there's something wrong with them, they're completely immoral, and we can't agree to disagree anymore. Basically, there's one way to go about this, and it's not your way, it's the opposite of your way. This should not be tolerated. We've made a mistake tolerating it to this point, and we should absolutely have governments abolish all of this. If the government is funding or forcing this in any way, they should absolutely stop. And if you have a private entity that's funding this in any way, we should publish it, and then we should boycott them until they are gone, basically, from the market. These people never stop. They don't change their minds. They are absolutely ideologues. And I've had it with trying to trust these people. I've done that in my private life. I used to be a big fan of Blizzard games. I played Diablo. From the second one, I played Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, and so on. And I just stopped completely. I've removed everything from my computer. I'm not giving any more time or attention or money to Blizzard. And from my personal point of view, basically let them just run out of business. When they are completely gone, somebody else will take their place. I see them as corrupt to the point that there's no return. And basically, we have to keep punishing the corporations that push for this agenda if we don't want the world they're creating to come about. They're basically re-engineering society in ways that I find not possible to reconcile morally. Think about it. Children, 5-6-year-old in kindergarten. Why do they need to be propagandized with books containing the images of adults naked or wearing bondage gear? What possible reason could there be for this? They keep propagandizing them. It's about the book is about a girl that goes with her 2 moms to a pride parade. Why? How come we need to just hammer home all the time? Look, there are so many types of families. Listen, the type of family that created human civilization is a man and a woman having children. 2 men can't have children. 2 women can't have children. And you can say, well, the surrogates have their own problems. There's a lot of moral quandaries about this. They say that pregnancy doesn't just create a child, it also makes a mother. And I can't help but wonder about the effect of being raised by 2 parents of the same sex on children. We already know that there are very strong negative effects for being raised by a single parent, especially a single mother. And I'm not saying this out of sexism. I'm saying this because the statistics bear it out. The children raised by a single mother, on average, have a much higher rate of going criminal or having mental breakdowns or all sorts of other problems. And you can understand that this is not me hating on single moms, not saying that they're bad or that they can't be good or that they can't raise children that are successful and healthy. I'm saying that it's much harder, and on average, a lot more of them fail than traditional families. Traditional family is the most stable and most successful on average configuration that humanity has created. It has worked for thousands of years, and now it's being denigrated and demonized to make room for things that we know, on average, don't work nearly as well, if they work at all. I don't understand it. Unless you're actively trying to harm society, to harm people, in this case, the people of your own nation, why would you ever do that? I was perfectly fine with them just having an alternative lifestyle, which they keep to themselves. I don't ask, they don't tell, just like I don't tell anybody about my personal likes and dislikes or personal life. How about that? How about we each keep our private lives private, and we don't make it our entire identity, and we don't force people to celebrate it? But I suppose, according to the current governments in most of Europe, what I've just said was probably cause enough to be investigated or thrown in jail. We have seen people being investigated and thrown in jail for anti-LGBT speech. We have seen people investigated and thrown in jail for anti-feminist speech. I believe this counts as both, right? I am so lucky not to be living in Europe, and I never thought I'd say that. And I think a lot of people all over the world now are saying the same thing. What are you doing with your societies? I hope you can reform them soon. Thanks for watching, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.